So, I mean, if we think in a scenario, maybe a herd in the High Plains region milking Holstein cows with an average production of 24,000 pounds per cow per year, and let's say cow conception rate is 40% and service rate 70%. And if they use Saudi Arabians or they house the cows in dry lots, milk the cows twice per day, what would be a normal embryonic loss for a herd in this situation?
Okay, just we started the fact that you said that there were 70% AI submission risk or heat detection and 40% conception rate. We assume if you have 100 cows, that 70 of them are being bred. So the way I go calculate this is that, okay, I said that if the conception rate, number of cows that are pregnant out of the cows that have seen insemination, then that leaves us about 28 cows pregnant. So that gives you about 40 to 42 cows open. Now, I'm trying to describe that, okay, what proportion of these 42 cows that are open, they are open due to fail to fertilization, or what number of them actually lost their embryo early. If we go about 85% fertilization success in general, then I calculate that about 15% of the 42 cows that are open can be described by the fact that they fail to fertilize the egg from the get-go. Well, that leaves you about 6 cows of those 42 cows open because of fertilization failure. So that leaves you about 36 cows or so that are still open, and we're trying to describe why they are open. If you put about the losses due to early embryonic death, about 65%. So basically that gives you something around 23 to 24 cows that of that 42 cows lost their pregnancy because of early embryonic loss. So total then, up to that point, I calculate about maybe 6 cows fertilization failure. Let's say average 24 cows early embryonic deaths. That gives you a total of 30. So the remaining 12 cows that are open, perhaps they become open due to late embryonic loss somewhere past week 2 or 15, 16 days post-AI. So in this situation, we can say that, of the 70 total cows, perhaps 1/3 of them or so, give or take, lose their pregnancy due to early embryonic loss of the 70 cows that are seen in insemination. So one can always argue, based on some discussion we had, is the fact that depends on how you define the conception and then define the fertilization rate. If you go by that definition, one may argue that actually when we say 15% fertilization failure, so that means of all cows that have seen semen. If you go by that, then out of that 70, 10 of them fail to fertilize from the get-go. That leaves you 60 cows basically to deal with. And then, of course, we do 40% conception rate of those 40 cows, right? So that gives you 24 cows pregnant, and then remaining are open. So basically 24 of the 60, right? That gives you 36 cows. And then we can apply the same concept of 65% losses due to early embryonic loss. Then you come up with a higher number in that case for early embryonic loss. So in either way, the difference depends on how you define the conception and the fertilization rate. So it seems to me the estimate that we put roughly about somewhere a little bit above 30% of the total losses happens in early embryonic loss would not be inconceivable. So something about 20-some cows, 23, 24, 25, depends on how you're looking at it. Of course, all are circumstantial. If you have a very, very high temperature, that number may go up. If you come to the winter, that losses may come less. But we know one thing based on the previous study: fertilization failure, I've seen it anywhere from 5% to 15%, depends on type of cows or so. On average, as Victor, you and I talk about it, maybe we put the average of 10% fertilization failure. So if that's given, but then the other losses can fluctuate based on the time of the year, or even sometimes method of insemination. We always talk about it. When do you inseminate the cow relative to ovulation, early or late? That can change the type of embryo you have, right? You may have a high fertilization failure, lower embryo quality, all right? If you do it early, well, then in that circumstances, your losses may be a little tad higher. If you inseminate late relative to ovulation, you have a lower fertilization rate, higher embryonic quality. So therefore, your loss is more to the fertilization failure, not embryonic loss. So again, many things can change that number of estimation on early embryonic loss.